All right, let's dive right into this explainer on Mosaic Warfare. We're looking at a pretty radical shift today, moving away from these brittle, monolithic platforms to a highly adaptable AI-driven network of systems. Basically, we are completely leaving behind the old, rigid ways of thinking about strategy and stepping into a world of immense complexity and rapid on-the-fly adaptation. It's fascinating stuff. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to start with the warfare paradigm shift, then move into what is Mosaic Warfare exactly. After that, we'll cover mastering the OODA loop, disaggregating the force, human-machine symbiosis, and finally, how all of this applies beyond the battlefield. Okay, part one, the warfare paradigm shift. To really understand where we're headed, we have to look at how military structures have historically mirrored the dominant scientific paradigms of their time. It's actually a super interesting pattern. Back in the 18th century, we had mechanism. Think of a clock. Armies moved in these very rigid, linear, close order drills. Then, in the 19th and 20th centuries, we entered the era of thermodynamics. That was driven by the engine, which brought us mass mobilization and industrialized warfare. By the late 20th century, the computer introduced cybernetics, focusing heavily on information and automation. But Today, we've arrived at the 21st century paradigm, the era of chaoplexity. This era is entirely defined by the network, where nonlinearity, self-organization, and just extreme complexity absolutely rule the day. The core metaphor for this new era is brilliant, and it's where the name comes from. Traditional systems are essentially like a jigsaw puzzle. You build this beautiful, highly engineered picture, but every single piece is heavily designed to fit in one specific spot. It's incredibly brittle. If you lose just one piece, the whole puzzle is basically ruined. The modern solution, though, is a mosaic. Think of it as a bag of opportunistic, much cheaper tiles. You don't specify exactly what any one tile has to be, but you have total confidence that you can piece them together to produce the larger picture you need. If you lose a tile, it honestly doesn't matter. The mosaic just adapts. So that brings us perfectly to section 2, what is Mosaic Warfare? For decades, we've relied on massive, monolithic platforms. Picture an exquisite multi-million-dollar fighter jet that takes 20 years to build. If that gets shot down, it's a devastating loss, right? Mosaic Warfare throws that entire playbook out the window. Instead, it disaggregates or breaks apart functions like sensing, command, and firepower across a vast, unpredictable web of smaller, cheaper nodes, some manned, some unmanned. By linking these lower-cost nodes together in real time, you create these incredibly unpredictable effects webs. The ultimate goal here is to impose massive, overwhelming complexity on the adversary while actually simplifying choices for friendly commanders. DARPA's Timothy Grayson has another amazing metaphor that really hits the nail on the head. Historically, we've had this dominance mindset. We tried to build a force as hard and impenetrable as a block of granite. But what happens to granite? Someone comes along with a chisel, finds a weak point, and it shatters. Mosaic Warfare flips this into an anti-dominance mindset. It's more like trying to pop a balloon with your finger. You push into it, and the balloon just absorbs the pressure and squeezes out somewhere else. It's fluid, it's resilient, and it's incredibly difficult to actually destroy. Moving right along to section 3, mastering the OODA loop. At the absolute heart of making these networks effective is time compression. And to understand that, we need to talk about the OODA loop. This is a decision-centric framework developed by military theorist John Boyd, originally born out of fast-jet dogfighting tactics. It's built on a very simple but powerful idea. Strategic advantage lies entirely in your ability to outpace and outthink your opponent. The loop is just 4 steps. Observe the environment, orient to the context of what you're seeing, decide on a course of action, and act. OODA. Now, the faster you can cycle through those 4 steps, the faster you paralyze the enemy's decision-making process. Think about it. If you force your adversary to spend all their time just trying to observe and orient to what you're doing, they never actually get to the act phase. You literally trap them in the past. And when you throw a vast network of automated mosaic systems into this loop, things get wild. You actively decentralize observation and decision-making. You're speeding up your own cycle through machine control, taking precise actions almost instantly. Meanwhile, this swarm of diverse, constantly reconfiguring tiles completely scrambles the adversary's orientation phase. They can't figure out your true intentions at all. It just leads to utter confusion on their end. Which leads us to section 4, disaggregating the force. To execute this rapid OODA cycle, we literally have to abandon the traditional tree form of organization. The tree form is deeply ingrained in classical strategy. It's highly centralized, hierarchical, and it has a very vulnerable center of gravity. I mean, if you cut the trunk, the whole tree dies, right? Mosaic Warfare instead embraces the postmodern rhizome form. Think of a root system of ginger or bamboo. It's totally decentralized, highly adaptable, and interconnected everywhere. To disrupt a rhizome, an adversary would have to attack almost all the nodes simultaneously, which is practically impossible. Okay, section 5, human-machine symbiosis. Managing this complex, decentralized rhizome of tiles is way too much for the human brain alone. So let me give you a pretty mind-blowing example of how AI steps in. In DARPA's alpha dogfight trials, they put an AI agent into a flight simulator to compete in a virtual dogfight against a highly trained, active-duty human fighter ace. The final score? The AI absolutely crushed it. It defeated the human pilot 5-0. It was simply able to think in higher degrees of freedom and calculate state vectors far faster than a human ever could. But hold on, before you picture a sci-fi Terminator scenario, that is absolutely not what we're talking about here. The goal isn't to replace humans, it's about finding the perfect division of labor. As one former general famously put it, we've got to stop spending so much time training fingers and more time training brains. The goal is true human-machine symbiosis. Let the AI handle the closed-world math, like flying the plane or avoiding collisions, so the human pilot is freed up to be a high-level battle manager. The human gets to make the complex, context-heavy strategic decisions that machines still really struggle with. Finally, Section 6, Beyond the Battlefield. What's so crucial to take away from this is that these principles go way beyond military applications. Think about global civilian logistics. Remember the pandemic? We saw massive disruptions, like that crazy sudden run on toilet paper. Those old, rigid, jigsaw supply chains just completely broke down. But if we apply mosaic architectures to civilian logistics, we build in massive resilience. Instead of waiting months to build a brand new milling machine, manufacturers simply repackage large commercial rolls into smaller consumer bundles. A rapid, on-the-fly reconfiguration of existing tiles. Whether we're talking about distributing renewable energy across a decentralized smart grid, coordinating disaster response, or adapting industrial manufacturing, these network concepts allow us to survive unforeseen chaos. So we are obviously seeing a monumental shift here, moving from extreme rigidity to extreme adaptability, as we leave behind the brittle, monolithic jigsaw puzzles of the past in both our security and our everyday civilian infrastructure. I want to leave you with this question. How will you use the flexibility of the mosaic to revolutionize the way we solve humanity's most complex, unpredictable problems